Welcome to the Osceola's First Impressions. I'm joined today by former Florida State wide receiver Kez McCorvey. Kez, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Enjoyed the game. It was good. It got home a little early too, as well, more earlier than I thought. But it's good.
Yeah. Well, Mark Salva is at Disney World. He was in the animal kingdom this week with his wife and his son and his family, and they're having a good time down there looking at the animals in the animal wild kingdom. So if Mark's watching, hello, and we'll have Mark back with us next week. But we got Kez, who's been a football analyst for us over the years, and excited that he could join us today.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you. And for Mark, I would say this right here is buy me one of those $20 peaches.
I bet you he's wearing one of those Mickey Mouse hats with the ears. And
yes, he's going all in.
Yeah. Well, Kez, today it was the outcome of FSU 34, Virginia Tech 14. It was great to have a win. And it evens it up for Florida State at 5-5. And they got the chance of, if they can win one of the next two, go bowling and maybe win 7 or 8 before the season is out, which would be, that was what our hope was to get to 8 this year. But what was your thoughts on the game?
On the game, I think the positives were that they were able to rebound and come and push out a win and have the guys play with some energy and excitement. You had the seniors there, and it's their last game at Doak Campbell Stadium, and the guys come out and play hard. I thought, on each side of the ball, you had some things that have kind of played out over the season. Defenses allowing big runs and still allowing the runs that we probably don't like. And then on offense, struggles on 3rd and long and some of the easy passes that we probably should have completed and not completed those balls too as well. And then not having the long runs and I think having very few long passes as well too. So those are some of the things that were concerning, but I think the biggest piece was, getting the win. However you can do it, do it.
They're not easy to come by.
Nope.
I think people underestimate how hard wins are to come by. You look across the country, and a lot of people didn't have a win today.
Yeah. And I think in this new kind of landscape of football and how it's played, right? It's hard to determine because people losing all the time, and so it's very. I don't take it for granted that we got a chance to get a win and then a win going away too. So it's not just down to the wire. It's not a one score game. It's a win going away, and so that's always good.
Yeah. So, Kez, going back to the passing game to start there, I didn't think Tommy was as sharp tonight as he's been. There were several times he really missed kind of badly on some open receivers. And did you think that we were a little bit off with the passing game?
I did. I struggle with our passing game anyway because right now I think if you ask me what type of passing game we are in, it's a heavy play action passing, right? And so when our running game is going pretty good, then our play action passes are going pretty good too as well. And we've got a rhythm and we're going fast, and that's when a lot of our big plays usually happen. And so I don't know if we ran the ball well enough early enough and had enough bigger runs to be able to apply that over to our play action passing game to have enough volume. But then, when we did have some chances, we didn't hit them. I think it was a long wheel route on the left side, which we ended up overthrowing. He was open on the pump. We had like a big screen with a pump. We missed that one, and a couple other ones we missed as well. Some easy screen passes. And so
Yeah.
I think you're going to throw short passes. You got to connect with them. You got to be able to have a high level of execution on those type of passes to help your drives and help fuel the other plays that are down the field, that are big plays that make people to pay attention to you. So I for some reason, the last two games, those short passes, we just have not been able to connect on those, and he didn't look sharp.
Yeah, we had 46 rushing attempts in the game for 240 yards, an average of 5.2, but it didn't seem like that in the first quarter.
No.
I felt like we stuck to the run, even though I thought they were loading the box against us pretty good.
Yeah.
It looked like they had 7 guys in the box at minimum, and yet we weren't able to take advantage of it in the passing game. Tommy was 13 for 25, 52%. His average completion was 14.9 yards, 1 passing TD, 3 rushing TDs in the game. I think all those were very short yardage. Florida State wound up with 431 passing yards to Virginia Tech's 363. And they had 238 rushing yards, which is 5.8 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
But as you said, there were a couple. Most of those yards came on 3 or 4 large runs that got out of there somehow.
Yeah, and I mean that's always concerning to me. Just because I think they had a couple plays that were consistent. They ran the little motion stretch play, and they ran that consistently. But I don't know if we ever found a way of consistently stopping that play. Like some plays they would get it, and some plays they just didn't run it, and we were able to stop them and get the ball back. But it wasn't because I don't know if it was because we stopped them, but it may have been because they stopped running it. But some plays concerned me as far as their ability to run the ball and then gashes for some big runs to us, and then us not being consistent with our runs to it. We have spurts where we run the ball pretty good, right? We have spurts where we run the ball pretty good and we're picking up some really good yardage, but then you don't want to compare to other teams, but I don't know if I necessarily see some of the big 30, 40-yard runs. I mean, that's been absent from us, for a good part of this year. The big runs that, the home run hits and some of those type of things outside of just the reverses and some of the trick passes.
Yeah. In terms of, one thing that I thought was, I'm looking right now for penalty yardage. And I thought Florida State played a lot cleaner game today in that respect.
Yeah.
And Virginia Tech hurt themselves with penalties, and FSU did not. But let me look at that and see where we were on penalty yards. So, Kez, were you in the varsity box?
I was there a little bit, like during halftime, but most of the game I was in the stands.
Oh, were you? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I thought, give me your feedback on that. I always sit in the end zone of the Champions Club because I like that view, the all 22.
Yeah.
But I thought the crowd was very positive. It wasn't a crowd that I didn't hear any negativity. It seemed like it was a very supportive crowd where I was sitting.
Yeah, it's same here too as well. I mean, the very supportive crowd. They were all into the Seminole chop and the chants and everything like that. And so I thought the crowd was very positive. And then beginning of the game, I didn't know if there would be a large crowd, but it seemed as though it was packed out. And it seemed like there was a lot of people came out to support the team and everything like that too as well. And so that was exciting to see. That people came out and supported the team despite expectations not reaching the expectations that you might have had at the beginning of the season with the Alabama win. But I was excited about that just to see the fans come out, and then again, just like you said, just the positive response that they had to the game, and still be behind the team.
Yeah, and it, when you finish the first quarter 0-0. And when we finally, made the field goal, I made a note. That had to be the hardest fought 3 points in Florida State history, because it was like 19 minutes into the game before we got those 3 points on the board. And we had 125 or 30 yards total offense and only had 3 points to show for it. And then they took the kickoff and went down and went ahead 7-3. And if I was a Virginia Tech player or fan, I would see that as a win to be that far into the game and only have given up 3 points.
I think that was their chance, really, is to keep the game close so they could make it a physical game, running the ball, play good defense, keep them off the scoreboard, frustrate Florida State to make them make mistakes. And I think that obviously that first interception that they threw was probably out of desperation. You can tell which teams are desperate by the ones that come out of character first, and them running the ball, having a successful run, and then trying to go for the jugular right off the bat, and then it backfiring is a definite tell that you were trying a little too hard, and it bit them, and it may have cost them an opportunity to be in the game.
Yes. Going back to the penalties, I found it here. This is a pretty interesting stat. Virginia Tech had 8 penalties only for 59 yards, but it did cost them a long run. One of those penalties did. And Florida State, believe this or not, guess how many penalties we had?
How many?
1.
Wow.
For 5 yards.
That's good, because you don't help the other team in any kind of way too. And so if you can play mistake free like that most of the game, you don't help those guys too, and then you make them have to beat you. And so and I think we did a good job of doing that, making them have to beat us. And then they did a poor job, because I think they gave us some 15 yards on a late hit by the quarterback, which was a definite mistake by them early in the game. And then I think we got a third down offsides penalty that they ended up giving us to as well, that helped us to move the sticks. And when we were struggling, we wouldn't. I mean, it's not like we were dominating on the line of scrimmage, and they ended up just giving us one. And so, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And, to me, the part of the story of this season isn't what the opponent does, is what we've been doing to ourselves that have killed us. And one penalty, and I'm looking at, I think we had one fumble, but we recovered it. And no interceptions. Defense had a fumble recovery, a pass interception, and then 2 fourth down stops. They were 0 for 2 on fourth down. We were 1 for 1. But, being realistic about that game now, I think that's a very one-dimensional team.
Yeah, they were. And, and so they didn't necessarily challenge us a lot in situations. I mean, a couple of times we played zero coverage and we sent more guys than they could block, and we ended up getting home, and then they didn't have an answer. I mean, I'm watching the game, and I'm seeing, nobody deep, and I'm seeing 6, 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, and I'm thinking to myself, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to throw high, they're going to throw a quick slant, or they're going to throw something like that, and they ran right into it, and so they just didn't have any answers to some of that stuff. And I was surprised that we didn't do more of that because it seemed like they didn't have an answer for it. But I think, like you said, they were one-dimensional team, and we finally got them in position to where they, we knew what they were going to do, and they couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, we hit 150-yarder. 150-yard pass that was to Deuce on that. I think it was a slant, and that was not a lot of long passes. And there again, because I was a little surprised when you put that many guys in the box, you would think you could get, Deuce on one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
More frequently than what we attempted.
Yeah, and they were going to force us to late in the game. They started to play some one-on-one, and we could kind of determine what kind of coverage they were playing a little bit by the end of the game. Early in the game, they were playing a couple different zones and some 4 and some other different zone coverages as well, where they were forcing us to run the ball, and in those opportunities we ran the ball, but still, I saw was some runs where I thought, we could have broken a little bit, and got down the field a bit more. We got 5 yards, we got 7 yards, we didn't get as many yards as you would think against a light box. And, when you only got 6 guys in the box or 7 guys in the box with a tight end in there too as well. And so that, to me, that was kind of the tale. They forced us early in the game to have to move the ball down the field. And then we didn't win thoroughly at the line of scrimmage to be able to break the big runs to where you can make them really pay and be forced to put guys in the box. And then later in the game, when they felt the pressure of having to come from behind, now the pressure's coming, and then we can hit some longer passes down the field.
Let me get a couple of evaluations from you. Deuce has had a pretty good year this year, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he has.
What do you see in him? What makes him who he is?
Well, I think first of all, I think he has a pro mentality. I've seen him work, and I've seen him work on his craft outside of just regular practice. And so I think he has a pro mentality. His dad is a coach, right? His dad's a player too as well, and so I think he understands what's necessary to play at that high level. But then also his body too, his physical capabilities. He's 6'6". That is not 6'6" with the athleticism and speed and body awareness that of a smaller guy. That's a unique trait, and so you don't have many guys that can do that. And then you see him catch the ball too as well. He just has really good hands and really good catch radius too as well. And so it makes it hard for him to stop. I think he has now I don't know exactly what his probably draft status might be. I think if he runs a 4 or 5 or in there somewhere, I think he'll be a pretty high draft pick. I don't know about first round, maybe second round, third round. I'm not the draft analyst, but I think he has great potential because of his size and then his ability to run routes at his size too as well.
Yeah, he's been a go-to guy for Tommy, and he's compiling some good numbers.
He is. I tell you this right here. I'm not. My concern is this. Who is the number 2? Who's the number 2 that we have, and we need. I mean, you want to be able to develop that number 2. Right now, our number 2 is running game, and the way we play offense allows us to have just maybe a 1, but you would want to have another number 2, another guy that you're developing first of all, but then another guy to be able to pull defense away from your number 1 guy and from your run game too as well.
Right. Of some of the guys that they've started over the year, Javon Boggs, who's the freshman, played early. I think he started in the Alabama game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
He started early, and then he got hurt. He's been I saw him in there for, I think, a couple plays today. And then the other guy, McCoy, has had to play some as a true freshman. Do you see anything in either one of those two guys that?
I do. I think they got great potential. I think now it's confidence time. When you're a young guy, part of it is not even talent, right? It's part of it is really getting on the same page with your quarterback, where your quarterback trusts you, and then he's gonna give you the benefit of a doubt, right? Quarterbacks, they're not throwing balls to guys just and hoping they get completed. They throw in with the expectation of getting completed, and so when they're throwing the ball to you, right, you gotta have confidence. They gotta have confidence in you. You gotta have some synergy, for lack of a better word, some synergy, some chemistry with that quarterback too as well. And it takes some time because he has to throw before you break. And so I saw a couple of routes where the guys ran fast at that. I think they have the capability of being great targets. I think those just they just need some reps. They need some reps, need some success, and they need some time to get confident in those guys making plays in the game.
I think his number 2 has really been Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to have confidence in Bell.
Yeah.
And at times, Bell has, he's had a couple of drops this year that were costly, but those seem to be Tommy's 2 targets to me.
Yeah, and that's normal. Honestly, that's normal, right? Your quarterback's going to have a couple of guys that he really, really trusts, right? And you want to be able to expand that list of people on your team, but usually a quarterback has a couple of guys that they trust. He trusts, right? And he's going to be on the same page, and he feels confident throwing the ball, and that those guys are going to make a play for him. And so I agree with you. I think those are his guys. Those are his guys. My concern always with Florida State right now is third down and long, right? If we get in third down and long, I'm not sure, what is their go-to concepts. I know who their go-to guy is, but what are their go-to concepts? And then, I know the other thing that Tommy likes to do is he has the ability to run, when you have those downs, he has the ability. If it's 6 or less, I have no problem, or I have plenty of faith that he can definitely pick that up. But I'm just trying to think of, okay, what are the concepts that we run that we're comfortable with in those situations? And I don't know if I know them just yet. So I'm trying to figure out, what the coaching staff is comfortable in and what they believe the players can execute in those positions. And I think I know what we like to do on first downs, right? First down play action passes. I feel like I know what we're pretty good at and what they want to get to. But in those downs where they're challenged, like 3rd and 7 to whatever it is longer, who's the guy and what do they like to run?
You were the guy that, Charlie had confidence in you, Charlie Ward, when he was here.
He better have
go-to guy.
Yeah.
How'd you all develop that?
The same thing is, we had some things that we had success with, right? The plays that you like, right? The plays you're good at. And so you try to do that as many ways as you possibly can. And because it's really, it's players over plays, right?
Right.
And so even if the other team knows what you're doing, right? He's used to making that play all the time, right? And he's used to running that route all the time. And a lot of time, and more than likely, he's going to have success doing the things that he's good at. And so I think it's the same thing for these guys too as well. They have a chemistry. They know what routes that he runs, that each guy runs the best. And then, the receivers know which routes the quarterback likes to throw. Is he an over the middle guy? Is he a bender? Is he a dig guy? Does he like those curls, comebacks, all that kind of stuff like that? What's the comfort level? And the coaches right about now should start to develop that confidence and knowing their players too as well. You get a hit list as a coach. You got a hit list of all the plays and which ones are successful and which ones are not successful. And you usually do it in practice too as well. Which ones are successful most of the time in practice and which ones are not successful. And so you kind of get a understanding of what your guys like And then a lot of coordinators will ask their quarterbacks, "Hey, what do you like?"
Right.
And so, what are you comfortable with? And so that's kind of the process that you have to kind of take to the game. Guys do what they like to do. Guys do what they're comfortable with.
Yeah. So we got a question here. It's a great one from Gary Simonson. Let me see if I can put it up here. Nice for Knowles to get a win at home, but it's been 2 years since they got one on the road. The next 2 games on the road, we will see. Next 2 games on the road are very difficult places to play, as you know. And I want to ask you about that, Kez. That is a very true statement. In 22 and 23, Mike went 19 straight wins. So we were winning some on the road then, and we're not now.
Yeah.
And talk about that if you can. I mean, what's your feeling about winning on the road?
Yeah, you know what? I think this is the thing right here is momentum is a real thing. Momentum is a real thing, and you have an extra almost you get an extra, I guess, attack point for adversity coming against you in an away arena, right? And so you get your crowd behind you. There's noise. If they make a play, then there's extra noise that you have to contend with too as well. You'll get a chance to get your plays in, and you have to focus a little harder. And so you have to play with anxiety around you during the whole game. And can you do that? Can you play without anxiety? Can you play without the band going and when people yelling in your ear and it's so loud you can't hear? And can you play without that? And then the question is, can you play with that? Can you play with that? And that's maturity. All right, that's confidence. All right, that's team sticking together too as well. Your team has to stick together because you can't get frustrated with your teammates when you can't hear, or when they make a mistake, or when they get jump off sides and all those type of things. Can you overcome those things in the game too as well? Because that's going to happen. If it's so loud you can't hear, you have to change your whole process, right? When you can't speak to the next guy next to you and call out the blocking assignments or call out the combo blocks, or you can't tell this person right here what the route is, and usually signaling in, and then he asking you, hey, I didn't hear it, I didn't get it. Tell me again. You can't hear it, and now you gotta. And it's a lot of this different distraction. You gotta be able to keep your cool in those moments, all right. And that's maturity, that's experience, and so it challenges you in those ways because of the different environment.
Wonder if it's more difficult in this portal era where that offensive line, for example, none of those guys played together before this season. So there was, the communication on the offensive line in an adverse situation.
Yeah. Dude, it's almost impossible. I mean, really, it's a miracle. It's almost impossible to do that. Like the second year of being in the same offense, it should be easier. Offense or defense, it should be easier because you've made the mistakes. You try to do it your way, and then you've been punished, and then you come back and you learn to trust now to do it the way it's supposed to be done, right? And so you don't get that benefit now. And so right now this is their second season. The second part of this season right here is their second actual season, because now you've gotten a chance to have almost a full entire season, and now you're going into your second season to know the stuff, right? And it's hard. It's hard to it's not hard to know the plays. It's hard to be able to have the rhythm that you need to play with and think the same thoughts that the guy next to you is thinking, right? Because that's what you have to do. You got to be able to without thinking, know exactly what this tackle or this guard or this center is going to do, or when this guy comes back this way right here and they do a twist, or the linebacker shoots, or whatever that might happen, right? You gotta be able to not even think about it and just do it. It's second nature. It's reaction naturally, right? And so that's when you play really, really good. That's when you don't think about it. You just make the play. Right. And so they hadn't had a chance to be able to do that yet. That's hard. I don't know how you can have an expectation to, this is what I call it, fix it on the field. I don't know if you can have an expectation for guys to be able to fix it on the field when they haven't played together long enough. you can fix on the sideline, but you're always going to be a play behind.
Yeah.
But to fix, but to be good enough to fix it on the field, you got to know it. You got to be a smart guy, and you have to know that offense or scheme like the back of your hand.
Yeah, and Tommy's never worked with Deuce before or Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew Bell at UCF, 4 years ago, but of all the guys on offense, they never played together before this year.
No.
And I guess that shows up at times.
Yeah, it does. It does too as well. And so right now they're building some of that right now too. And so it's not. I'm saying it's not easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. So and I think for the coaches too as well, because you think you what you do is you're planning plays for what you think the guy can do well, and
Right.
You don't know exactly what he does well, right? You think he should be. He runs fast. He's quick, right? I should roll him out. Well, crap, he might not like rolling out. He might not feel comfortable rolling out, and so. But you doing what you think he can be good at, and so. But later on in the year, you start to will things away, right? He's not good at that. He's not good at this right here. What is he good at? But also the teams you're playing against know those same characteristics as well.
Hey, let me. I'm going to kind of deviate just slightly. Good friend of mine loves the idea of rolling Tommy out, right? And when you were at Florida State, I know back when Wayne McDuffie was the offensive coordinator, he was adverse to rolling a quarterback out because it cuts the field in half.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? What are your thoughts on that? Now, you may agree with Wayne, but if you got a quarterback like Tommy, are you better off rolling him, even though you're cutting the field in half?
Jerry, can you give me one quick second?
Quick
second.
Well, Kez is missing. I thought there was a really special moment tonight when they introduced Ethan Pritchard, whose father was able, the linebacker who was shot after the Alabama game, and we thought the worst. And he went through rehabilitation in Jacksonville, and he was released this week from rehab. And he's able to, he's functioning, a lot better than people ever thought he would. Still got some work to go. But his dad thinks that he'll be walking normally and be able to play football again, which is just remarkable. But Florida State had him at the game today. He was in a wheelchair in the handicap section, and I thought the team and the crowd really responded well to him when he was introduced. It's a miracle that in these 3 months he's recovered as far as he has. But
I got the chance to meet his family today too. I didn't get a chance to meet him until today, and I got a chance to talk to his father too as well, and again just to see their countenance and see their attitude during the whole process too as well, and then how much the team has gotten behind him and the whole community has gotten behind him is special. As a player, former player too as well, just the care and love for the community has for our players is really heartwarming, and so see.
That made today, there were a lot of things today that were kind of special. Weather was phenomenal. The crowd, I went on the secondary market, and they said that only 2% of the tickets were available for this game.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Yes, the circumstances. And then let me go back to the rollout question. It is rollouts are good and bad, right? And versus certain coverages, it can be good. Versus certain coverages, probably not as great too. You got some concepts you can run, but you're right that you get a chance to cut off certain aspect. And then what you have to do is you got to have counter plays off of that, right? Because when linebackers start pushing to the side, when you start rolling out, linebackers start pushing to the sideline, and safety start overlapping, right? You got to have counter plays that counteract that squeezing of the field. And so I mean, if you do it a lot, and we used to do it a lot too as well. But when you do it a lot, you got to have plays that counteract the things that they are doing. And so it just adds another layer of plays that you have to put into the playbook to allow you to be able to do that without having guys cheat. And so I do like it in certain coverages, but in certain coverages, it's probably not as good because you don't have the recourse to unless you put a whole nother playbook in to counteract, what defense can do against rollout stuff.
Well, Kez, not only was he a great player at Florida State and played in the league for a while in both NFL and in Canada, but coached he coached at the professional level. And I think you were at the college level, and now you coach in high school football. You're head coach at North Florida. North Florida Christian.
Yeah.
And what coverages would you want to roll a quarterback out?
Obviously, man-to-man would be great. Man-to-man would be great. Single high coverages, single high safeties are coverages that you want to roll guys out because you don't have a guy that can overlap, like cover two high safeties, right? The safety is closer to the sideline. You don't have as much space. So if you run a corner route or you run comeback, you got guys that can get up under those comebacks, and you got guys that can overlap over the corner routes and things like that. And then you got linebackers that can push up underneath those different deals. And so those coverages make it easier if you got two high safeties. That's two safeties high, right, to overlap those deals. But if you got one high, you got man, right? It's man to man, right? And the quarterback has the opportunity to be able to work together and to win on this one-on-one coverage.
I thought they rolled Tommy some tonight. I wasn't mistaken, was I?
No. They did almost like a third down, a couple of third downs, and they had a couple of boots out of it too as well. And then they also ran a play that they used to counteract. They ran a roll draw. So they ran it looked like a rollout, but then they handed off for a draw. So that was kind of like a counter play off of that rollout. So if you do a lot of rolling out, what can we do to counteract that? If run a draw back the other way. Now we didn't get much yardage on it, but we at least ran it.
Right. I remember in '91 when you were there, Casey. I thought you all rolled him a fair amount, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We did roll. We rolled him out, and then I think that was a part of our offense. Really, was rolling out. We rolled out a lot. To change the launch point. And I think even for Castellano is really giving him a chance to be able to utilize his legs because there's still a threat for him to run. Right. There's a threat for him to run, so it's a gap. It's almost like a sweep, but it's also that same guy that's having to cover the flats over there is also the guy that's having to cover that gap when you run a quarterback sweep, right? And so you can put the defense in stress, and so. I think it's a good play for him because he is so athletic. Right. He is so athletic, and there's an opportunity for him to run as well. That makes it a dual threat for the defense.
Your friend Dan Densmore, who was a swimmer at Florida State and an editor for the Osceola for a number of years, he really wants to see them roll Tommy. So when you see Dan at the varsity club, you can pick at him a little bit about that, but
I know. And again, I say this right: rolling out is not bad. Rolling out is not bad, but you can't play a whole game rolling the quarterback out. You can't play a whole game rolling the quarterback out. I think it's points in the game where you can do stuff like that, but you can't do that whole game, right?
Right. Hey, Kez, I want to talk about. I want to stay with Gary Simonson's question. We got to go on the road to NC State, and then we'll talk about defense. But we got to go on the road to NC State, and then we got to go down to Gainesville. Yeah, tough way to end a season on the road with a team that hasn't won on the road. What makes NC State tough to play?
Well, obviously it's going to be home. They're going to be. They've had they're a program that's had success. So they've had success at NC State. They have not just been just the dog dweller of the ACC. They've
Right.
had success, and so they're going to have an expectation of being successful. And then we have given them an open door to feel like they can win. It's one thing when you don't feel like you can win. It's another thing when you feel like you got a chance. It's another thing when you feel like you get a chance to win a team that's been traditionally a high-powered team, right? That's still a target on our back as a Florida State. So, when they go over there, guess what? For them to get a win against us, right? It's a badge, right? It's a mark that you get a chance to say, hey, we beat Florida State, right? So that's still there, and it looks like it's probable, right? So you're going to get guys playing longer and playing harder. Where usually in football, one team will give up, one team will quit, and so that happens. Sometimes you think, man, that never. No, that happens. So a team will quit. A team will
Yeah.
say, I got no chance, and they'll pack the bags before they get there. But they're not going to do that. They're gonna play the whole game. They're going to have an expectation of winning. All right, because this is an easy. It seems like it could be an easy opportunity for them to get some street cred in college football for their whatever they want to accomplish in their program.
Now, playing on a Friday night has always been a bugaboo for us. Our fans don't like it. As a player, what makes Friday night? Is Friday night different?
Well, I would love to tell you no, but I'll be lying. What it is you get one less day of preparation, of recovery, right? And so that's what makes it different because your rhythm is off. Usually, all right, Saturday, Sunday, you're off and you're getting recovery and you're kind of watching the film, and then you get a day off, and then Monday you're back and you get a little warmed down and you get to lift some weights and whatnot, and then Tuesday you're back at it again, and then Wednesday you're at it again, and Thursday you'll walk through, Friday you're off, and you kind of, and then the game. But now you have one day shorter. And so now you got to pack all that stuff into another day, and so that's what makes it tough is you miss a day of preparation. You're a creature of habit, all right, and so you're used to the whole process going down the same way, and then now you're changing that process, and it all depends on how mature you are. That affects you. If you're very mature, right, and if you kind of been doing it for a while, it's not a big deal. But if you haven't, guess what? That little piece of change right there could cause just enough distraction for you to not play your very best.
Right. The stadium is the crowd is they can get on you too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest deal. All the details all the different factors that are in the game. The crowd, the travel, the away. And then the short week. I think one of the biggest things is sometimes not even the plays, is getting the guys to focus. It's getting the guys to not feel like this is out of the ordinary, and getting the guys to have confidence. By the end of the year, guess what? The scheme, the plays, right? The big part is getting guys to arrive at the game with the confidence and feeling like, that we should win this game. And then whatever happens, guess what? We can overcome that. It's not a big a deal. It's not, we don't shut down. We don't, and to me, it looked like at the end of the game, our guys, are playing confident. They looked like, I saw the guy dancing on the sideline. It was funny. But, one of the things I felt like, okay, they feel good. They feel good. They're happy about winning. They're excited about winning. All right, we got a little confidence. And that's confidence is always good to take to the next game. And if you can if you can have confidence, because guess what you do? When you got confidence, guess what? You play the next snap. When you got confidence, guess what? You go and you attack the ball. You play downhill on the ball. You run through tackles. You do your responsibility. That's what confidence does for you, right? Because you are motivated. And so I think that's what we need. We need to make sure that we're motivated to where if we make one mistake, it's not the end of the world. We make two mistakes, we'll still keep playing. We make three mistakes, guess what? We're going to play to the whistle, to the last whistle. And if you can get guys to do that, that's half the battle.
Yeah. Because at Clemson, in that first quarter, first half, we dropped balls, which was uncharacteristic for this year's team. Last year's team had drops. This year's team hasn't had a lot of them. We go to Clemson, and we left 24 points on the field with drops and with one fumble and a missed field goal. It looked to me like we were tight, like we were pressing at Clemson. I mean, what was your perspective on that? Did you see something different?
I saw the same thing. I thought we played tight. I thought we were trying to press. I mean, to me, when you watching the game, you can tell when one team is trying too hard, right? You going out, you meet the girl. I'm talking my wife, Mary. You meet the Miss McCorvey, and her name wasn't Miss McCorvey back then, but you're trying to impress her, right? And so you go out there and you make a fool of yourself because you're trying to impress her, right? And so you don't put your best foot forward. And I think that's the same thing too, as well. You go out there and you're trying to and it's part of this confidence too. It's part of this confidence. When you're confident, guess what you do right here? You don't have to press because the game's going to come to you. All right. Eventually, guess what? They're going to make a mistake. Eventually, guess what? We're going to keep pressing on them until they make a mistake, and then we're going to win this game. But when you don't believe that, right, you keep pressing hard, and then eventually you go faster than your car can go. If your car only goes 80 miles per hour and you try to go 100, guess what your car goes? It goes 50. Yeah. And so I think that's what we ended up doing is, trying to press too hard. You're trying to make a play. You're trying to call touchdowns. It's hard to call touchdowns. When you call good plays, guess what? You're good athletes, and you give them a good surface. Your good athletes make plays. And so I think that was part of the deal, and I think that comes from everybody, just Clemson, When I say Clemson, it's not as heavy as the Clemson of now, because the Clemson of now has been a perennial winner, and when you say their name, that still has a ring of championship on it.
Yeah, I mean they went out this weekend and beat Louisville.
Yeah. So they're a good team. They still believe in I know they've been having some issues, but they still believe they can win. All right, and they're not going to give up right off the bat. They make a mistake, and then they're at home. They were at home. They had the crowd, right? And so when you at someone else's home, you got to endure some stuff. All right, usually in high school, like high school, the referees are not going to be on your side, right? You're going to get a call that's probably not going to go your way, just all kind of things like that happen. The crowd's going to be extra loud, right? You're going to have some disadvantages. You got to play with one hand behind your back and still play the whole game. Right. And so that's what you got to understand when you play on a away surface. Is those things are not going to go your way, and you still have to have the intestinal fortitude to play the whole game out and not take one play off.
How do you do that as a coach? How do you get a team, prepared for that?
Well, I think part of it just is, it's the process throughout the year. For me, I feel like, by this time right now, it's not a whole lot of, you can't rip them into wanting to play hard. They are the do or they don't. You can't, you would want to try to fix it with the pen. You try to want to fix it with the pen, but this part of the year, your players got to play. Your players got to play. They got to be able to fix it on the field, and then you got to be able to instill confidence in those guys that they can make plays. You got to make them believe that they can make plays. And so I think that's part of it during championship season. This is what that is. November is championship season. December is championship season. January is championship season. And when in championship season, the players win the games. Coaches don't win the games. Coaches can't win the games. Players got to learn how to fix it on the field. And so I think that's part of the deal is find things that the guys are good at, find things that they're comfortable with, and let them go out there and let their true ability come out.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about defense. first, let me go over like prior to the game with Jabril Rawls out, and I think Jabril Rawls has been having a very good season, maybe the best of our defensive players and cornerback, and he was out for this game. So I had been concerned that they would they'd force our corners to make plays, and I think they did, and to Florida State's credit, those corners did make plays. The Arnaud kid and Jerry Wilson had one of his better games, I think. What are your thoughts? I mean, what did you think about the defensive performance tonight? Granted, it was a one-dimensional offense.
Yeah. If you look, if you go piece by piece, right? The secondary, I thought the secondary played really good. I really did. I thought the secondary played really good.
I did too.
As far as covering, and again, like you said, they were one-dimensional team, right? They wanted to run the ball. They didn't. If we ever get on top of them and force them to throw the ball, they would be in trouble anyway. And then I thought, if you ask me, okay, what did we struggle at? I think we struggled at pass rush. I don't think we actually got back there to them, and then holding the edge, right, containing. The quarterback had a lot of scrambles, and a lot of times they got to the edge, and we couldn't. I don't know if we had the speed to be able to run with an athletic quarterback on the edge, and to have a dominant defense, you got to have guys on the perimeter of the defense that are super athletic, and that force your quarterback to not be able to run out there to the edges and escape and get around defensive ends and all that kind of stuff like that. And I don't know if we had that. And so you asked me, okay, where do we struggle at? I think that's where we struggle at on third downs, where we had a perfect opportunity to show your pass rush. We didn't necessarily hit it now. And then we had to go to a couple of zero blitzes, to be able to put pressure on the quarterback and put him in a position to where we could challenge those guys. And so I think if we need to improve in an area, that's probably the area is just better pass rush and then better protection on the perimeter of the defense to be able to run down athletic quarterbacks and prevent backs from getting outside and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to your point, Kez, we had one sack, and we just don't get home. You get some pressure, but we can't get the guy on the ground this year, and it's been kind of a repeating theme to me on the pass rush.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing Raynard Wilson and Peter Boulware come off the edge, and I'm not trying to compare these guys to that, but we do need some athleticism at those positions to be able to put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback and be able to run with those guys on the edge there.
Right. Yeah, that's been a bugaboo this whole season, and this quarterback got out. He broke contain a number of times. But wasn't good enough to really hurt us with it, but. So on the individual stats, Herring the linebacker led us with total tackles 7, 4 solo. Earl Little, again, safeties typically are leading tacklers, 6. Omar Graham had 5. Yeah. Jerry Wilson 5. Barker 5. Edwin Joseph 3. Daryl Jackson had 3.
Yeah, no, that's good. What I'm looking for too is this right here. What I'll be looking for is, you got to get to the point where you get some tackles for loss, because those are drive stoppers, right? When you get tackles for loss, now you put guys in third and long situations, and then you got to be able to get off the field on third down and longs. But most of the time we never got guys in those situations on early downs to where we stopped them for 2 yards or 1 yard or negative something yard, right? We never got in that situation. And that's where you want to be at to be long-term successful is to be able to make guys one-dimensional. Now, I think they made themselves one-dimensional by doing it, but they didn't have to. I mean, they could be comfortable in that because they were getting 5 or 6, 7 yards on first down, right? And it was 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 5. And now you're comfortable because you can run the ball 3 times and be okay. And so I think that's kind of would be my concern is early downs, putting them in difficult situations, maybe even having more pressure on the early downs to force them to be in a negative situation to have to come outside of their character. All right. I mean, force teams to play with their left hand. That would be, a thought from myself is force teams to play with their left hand and make them do something out of their character, especially if you're a running team.
Yeah. Yeah, we had 4 tackles for loss in this game, which is not a big number.
No, not a big number. And then a couple of those were really good because they were on 4th down, right? They were 3rd down and 4th down stops, and so they got them when they needed them. But
Right.
I mean, honestly, you would want to get those. To me, you would want to get them on early downs to now be able to dictate what they could possibly run, shorten the playbook, make the playbook smaller to where now, guess what, you can kind of dictate as a defense.
Right. Kez, we've had a good 55-minute conversation here. Do you have any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts was obviously happy, excited about the attitude of the players, because I think if the guys are happy, they're excited about playing, they'll play hard. And so my goal for those guys to obviously is to find out what they like, what they're good at, what they like, and let them jokers go out there and fix it on their own themselves. What are some of the offensive plays that those guys just love? What are some of the defensive plays that those guys just love?
Yeah.
And they know like the back of their hand, so they can go out there and they can fix it, because those guys are the guys that got to make it work.
Kez, it's very interesting you say that. Mickey Andrews, when he was coaching that defense when you played, he and Gladden would tell me that oftentimes they would scheme something up during the week for the game. And then they get in the game and Brooks or somebody would come over the sidelines and coach, let us go back to base. Let us go back to base, which was their comfort zone. And Miggy said they always played better in, what they were comfortable in.
Yeah, I agree. I think guys, if they know something like the back of the hand, then they can fix it. I mean, the Utah Jazz, what with Stockton Malone, what play did they run? Pick and roll. You knew it was coming, but guess what? You couldn't stop it.
You're right.
And so, at a certain point, guess what? You got to out execute guys on the other side of the ball. No play. And one of my good friends, he passed away now, Corky Rogers, would say the same thing to me. He said, all plays are meant to do the same thing. They're meant to score. Right. The difference is do you know the adjustment when people change it, right? And so he was a wing T guy. He ran that thing every day, all day long, but he knew the adjustments, right?
Right.
But his guys that he coached, they knew the adjustments too as well. Same thing. It ain't, Coach Bowden would say it ain't rocket science. Can the players fix it? If the players can fix it, boy, you okay.
Right. That's an interesting concept and I've heard that several times that, you can't fix it on the chalkboard. The players have got to fix it on the field.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I lived it too. I mean, when we were here, that's different football than back when I played too as well. But, a lot of the stuff was fixed on the field. Coach Bowden, we would complain about running whatever play, and Coach Bowden would say, don't worry about the play call, make it work. Don't worry about the play call, make it work. And so that was evident by the fullback dive going for 60 yards. And who has a fullback dive that goes for 60 yards? But when you got guys that are making it work, then that happens. Right. So I think that's a big part of that where your guys, guess what? They will it to happen. They will it to happen. You make it work. You execute at a high level, and you just make it work.
There's another point I wanted to mention, and that's you mentioned a couple times that the players look like they're having fun, and they're playing hard, and sometimes they're playing too hard or too tight. And there's a narrative out there that they've lost the locker room, and I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I don't see it. I don't see, I don't see, the way that the guys are playing and the way, because the stuff they're doing is a lot of high. First of all, I know the coaches too as well. And those guys, they're high character guys, and it would be it'd be hard for those guys to lose the locker room because they already have so much respect for those guys. It's one thing if they don't have respect, but they already have so much respect for those guys. So I don't think they lost the locker room, right? I think, definitely because of the success or lack of success, the confidence is down, is waning. But I don't think they've lost. I don't think they lost the locker room. And so I think, a win, a little bit of momentum, some rhythm, right, will help them to go into the next game with some much needed confidence that to go out and execute at high level.
For the readers that don't know, Kez, you have interaction with our coaches and with our players in your role with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And would you talk a little bit about what you're doing now here in North Florida with Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the interaction with Florida State as one of your properties?
Yeah, and you know what? And I try not to overstep my boundaries over there at Florida State too. I got my guy Reggie Hutchins is the team chaplain over there, and so I try to stay out of Reggie's way, but I can't help myself sometimes, and and I go over there and I want to encourage, right? I want to encourage and I want to speak life into the guys too as well, on the field and off the field. I want to speak life because I feel like I was there. And when you experience the same thing that these kids are experiencing, you want to be able to help them, see at a bigger stage, right? You want to open their eyes to see, the things that I didn't understand when I was there. You want to help them see. When I was there, I had great guys around me. I had Dave Van Hellinger, who spoke life into me. First man to tell me, hey, I love you, man. Right? I had him, and I had coaches John Eason, and I had Coach Bowden and Mark Rick that really spoke life in a positive way. And I don't know if I saw it correctly then, but now I see it. And now, you want to be able to encourage our guys too as well to see life in a different way. And not saying that football is not important, but football is not everything. And so, I just want that would be my goal. And this whole big picture is to, make sure that they understand what life is about, right? And the opportunities they have, outside of football, and really just their Christian walk, right? The opportunities they have in Christ too. And so that's what I do in this community, period, right? My goal in this community is to really love on this community with the love of Christ, right? Love on the high schools and love on the colleges here. And we're at all the schools. We're at Florida State, FAMU, and TSC. We're at all the high schools in this area too as well, all the middle schools, and then soon, hope God willing, all the elementaries. And so and then I get a chance to do something that me and Coach Bowden had in common, which is the FCA. He was super involved in the FCA, and then I got a chance to work with him. So we traveled a lot, and that was special for me to be able to travel with him as he got a chance to help with FCA too as well. And so I just think it's a great opportunity that we get a chance to do as far as impacting this community.
So how many people do you have working with you or for you in your organization? Because it covers all of North. I mean, all of the Big Bend, right?
It's all over the world, actually.
Well, yeah,
it's all over the world. I've been to Argentina, and they got in all over the place, all the South America and Asia, and obviously the United States, and then we have over 300 staff in Florida, in all the counties in Florida too as well. So I mean, it's been it's been a great opportunity for me to be involved with FCA, and then I've been involved with North Florida here, and so we have multiple staffs, 20 plus staff here in North Florida that we get a chance to be able to, oversee the ministry in this area, and so it's been, like I said, it's been wonderful. I've been doing it for 9 years. So this is my 9th year in full-time ministry, and then ministering in the schools in Florida State and FAMU and TCC and all the high schools and middle schools in this area throughout North Florida.
Kez, if somebody wants to get involved with FCA, how would they do it?
Well, I mean, they could come, and if they want to be in multiple ways, you can volunteer. All right, we always need volunteers. I need volunteers. I got 7-on-17. If they want to volunteer on my 7-on-17, I got an 18U, I got a 15U, I got a 12U, I got a 10U. One of my favorite things to do is to see my 10U parents, as we get a chance to pray, right, have their hands on their sons and speaking life into their sons at that young age. I love it. We have after-school programs. I have an after-school program at Sable Palm and at Astoria Park too as well, where we do youth sports and mentoring through sports and coaching after school at those schools. And so we have a couple different programs. So if they want to, we have youth sports. So if they want to volunteer, please come and volunteer. Go to our website, northfloridafca.org. And they can volunteer if they want to donate. If you say, you know what, kids, I ain't got the time. I ain't got the time to come volunteer, but I can give. Please give, right? Those uniforms, we send kids to camps, all the different type of things that we get a chance to do. I got the greatest donut ministry you ever seen in your life. All right, no kid can resist a donut. And so, but donuts cost money though, right? And so go to northfloridafca.org and donate to our ministry over here in FCA. And so and we have a great camp ministry. I love camp. I love to see kids come to camp, and the first day they're just like, what's going on here? But about the third day, man, their hands are up and they get a chance to see what it's all about, man. And then we send them back to their school, and they're on fire for God, and then they're ministering in their school, and they're serving their school. It's awesome. And so if you want to, I mean, you can volunteer. You can be on the board. If you want to feel like kids, I could be on the board. Maybe I can help with the organization of this thing. Board member opportunities in different ways, volunteers, and also donations as well.
So if they go to northfloridafca.org, which I have on the screen,
yep,
they can either volunteer or contribute.
Yep, absolutely.
For that one link. All right, man. I love you.
Love you too, my friend.
So we'll next Friday night we're gonna probably do. Oh, by the way, we got for those listening that are going to be in the Tallahassee area, we'll have a game watching party at Glory Days for the NC State game. I'll have somebody up there covering it, but I'll be at that game watching party. Kez, if you're playing football that night?
No, but we are. I'm free. I'm free. Are you invite me on a date?
I am. And you can bring your wife. I'll bring mine. You bring yours.
Okay.
And we'll do game watching with, I don't know, we get a pretty good little group out there. So it's a lot of fun to win and lose. It's not fun to lose, but if you do it together, it's more tolerable, right?
It's more tolerable. Yeah, yes, I like it. Well, you got a date. You got a date. Then how that sound?
All right, man. I'll see you next Friday or Friday the NC State game. Man, thank you so much, Kez.
Well, thank you, man. Excited for the win, man, and excited to get a chance to talk about it. Okay.
So Salvo always takes us out. Have you got a way to take us out?
I don't know if I got a way. How does he do it? He has a little chant or something.
Scalp him.
Scalp him. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say go nose. Go nose. Go nose.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.